Coming up on the Merge Out Loud, Flyleaf is in the Merge Studios with Tower. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome to the Merge Out Loud. My name is Tower. Tonight we're with Pat from the platinum-selling band Flyleaf. First of all, it's great to have you on the show, man. I really mean that.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
The first thing we got to get into is why so long between albums here? It's been, what, 4 years since the self-titled? Like, tell me kind of what's been going on with the band. And this was an intentional thing that you guys really wanted to live with the last songs for a long time, right?
Well, actually, we were chomping at the bit to really put this record out, 2 years ago. But I don't know, the Lord just had different plans. But we got the self-titled done, and we were unknown at the time. And I don't know, as more time went on, All Around Me began to hit, and so we had kind of like 9 lives, as it were, with the first release, and just required more time to market and to tour, and which was a good thing for us. It could have just fizzled out and disappeared, and we'd have been back at square one with record 2. But I don't know. That's kind of why it just took time to establish our career. But.
Yeah, and you really didn't plan from the beginning to be a band that went this big, right? Because you and I actually met in Nashville about 4 years ago, and I think you actually, you and Samir asked me to come down to some barbecue place where you guys were hanging out, and I blew you off, and now 5 years later,
look where
I feel guilty.
No, don't worry, I've blown plenty of people off for barbecue before. But no.
You just started out as a little band from Texas, right? Well, this was kind of a fun thing. You thought that maybe some people would connect with these songs.
We had no plan. Our only plan was, if we're gonna do this band, let's just do our best for today. Let's try as hard as we can, work as hard as we can, and eventually we got lazier. But yeah, we just said, whatever works out, whatever doors open, let's walk through them, and of course, hold on to who we are and stuff. But
at what point did you realize these songs are special? Because so many things have happened touring Europe with Korn and so much over here. Was there kind of a point when the light just came on for the band? Like, oh my goodness, people are really latching on to this.
For me, there were 2 big points. Let's see, I came into the band about 6 months after it had started, and my old band, The Grove, was playing a show, and Flyleaf or Passerby at the time was actually opening, and I remember watching them, before my band went on, and I was just like, man, there's really something about this band, and that was point 1. I was like, I wish my band was more like that. They work hard, and they just there's something existing within that music, and then the second time was before we ever made any real record. Samir was in my dorm room in college and played So I Thought for me on the acoustic guitar. It's like, I've been working on this song, and talk about feeling something special in a song.
That's
like,
what you
man,
knew, huh?
That's so cool.
I know you guys are a band that loves videos. We'll talk about that more coming up. The new song is called Again, and you actually had a hand in kind of the final look of this. You want to tell me about that and then tell me what the song's about?
Oh yeah, definitely. Merge Davis is the director. He's done a ton of work for like U2, and I looked him up on Wikipedia, of course, and his roster is just a mile long. But he was kind enough to incorporate some of my woodcuts into the video, along with other effects, and it was all done green screen, and it felt so weird, just like playing in front of nothing, and everyone's like, "How's the shoot coming?" And I'm like, "Well, it's like a bunch of puppets in front of a green wall, But it blew my mind when I saw the first edit, and anyway, but Again is. I don't know, it's a song that came from Lacey, so I'm going to use her explanation, of course. She said a lot of times that we feel like we're strong enough to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and sometimes we have to let it go, and that's basically what the song is about, just kind of releasing it, and the weight.
We're hanging out with Pat from Flyleaf. The video is called Again on the Merge Out Loud. The video is Again from Flyleaf. Coming up, we talk about the band visiting some of the most dangerous places in the world. This is the Merge Out Loud. I'm Tower. This is Pat from Flyleaf. The band actually was recently in the front lines of Afghanistan. You want to tell me just really what that was like and how that affected you guys as a band?
I don't know. It definitely made the whole situation, what it is to be a soldier, more real to the band. More thankful to them for giving up their lives literally for us. And Lacey said a soldier told her once that this is why we do this, so you guys can play concerts and have fun at home and say whatever you want to say in music and I don't know, it really, we already had a lot of respect for the troops in the beginning, but I don't know, it just made it that much more kind of cauterized, I guess,
And it's got to be cool for you as a songwriter to realize that, these guys that are out there that are giving so much, a lot of them that are younger than you and I are, they're 19, 20 years old, that when they've sacrificed so much that these songs mean something to them.
Yeah, that's so freaky to me because, I don't know, I've done so much living since I was 18, 19, and knowing that some of these guys go over there and don't get that, that's, it really, I feel indebted and I feel very thankful to live here.
It's incredible the responsibility level that's on them. I was 19 years old, I worked at the mall and went to junior college. Also, Rwanda? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
We went to Rwanda after our European tour with Korn, I want to say 2 winters ago, and another eye-opening experience. It was, we went with a company called World Vision, a nonprofit organization that helps set up, these townships with the ability to feed and medicate and clothe and et cetera, et cetera. And they said, come see what we do in the field, and we did, and all the Rwandans were so wonderful and just so thankful to have people coming to pay attention to what's going on there. And
you guys actually recorded some music to benefit Rwanda through World Vision, right? Which is so cool because the amount of money does so much over there. A well will literally save the lives of half the villagers in some cases.
Yeah. It's stuff we don't even think about. Not being there is not there. It's kind of it's horrific. Just the amount of neglect that country suffered. And it does not take that much to help.
And you guys are part of it. This all started with a bunch of Texas kids, right? And this was a fun thing. How did this exactly start? Because I know that the first band thought Lacey wasn't any good, which is crazy. And then they broke up, and Flyleaf formed out of that, right? Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in that first, shuffle up, but yeah, we all were just, living in our little town of Temple, Texas, and we had a little scene going on with several local bands. We'd play the same, crappy little park or people's birthday parties and youth group rooms and stuff. And eventually our separate bands started breaking up, and I was lucky enough to get inducted.
The video we're going to go into is called Sorrow, and especially with maybe 3 or 4 tracks on your first album, people have just latched onto it so much, and it's more than just a song they like, it's like a part of their life story and something they can identify with. Tell me where the song came from, and how have you seen this hit people when you play it or when they have it played for them?
The song came from a time we were trying to rehearse and practice at our drummer's house outside of a lake in our hometown, and I remember us working on this one song, and I had some different lyrics for it, and Lacey was like, let me rearrange some of those for you, and I'm glad she did, because it made it very positive, and a song kind of about how weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning. That's basically the meaning behind the song, and I don't know, that it's good and real to have the weight of sorrow, because that lets you experience what joy really is. And I don't know, when we play it live, seeing people react and oh yes, it's that song, when we take into the beginning of it, I don't know, that's a special feeling.
And it gave you an excuse to wear a top hat.
Yeah.
How often do you really get that,
Yeah, it was hard to steal that top hat from wardrobe, but I made it away with it.
The video is called Sorrow. We're with Flyleaf on the Merge Out Loud. The video is called Sorrow that you just saw. The band is Flyleaf. This is the Merge Out Loud. More with Flyleaf coming up. This is the Merge Out Loud. I'm Tower. This is Pat from Flyleaf. The album is called Memento Mori, Latin. Mm-hmm. You guys sound very academic. And it means keep in mind,
be mindful of death.
Be mindful of death. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's kind of depressing.
Yeah, we just want to bum everybody out, basically. No, we just heard a story about Roman generals going into battle, and if they would return victorious, then they'd have a parade for them in the town, and a slave was assigned to stand, right behind the general in the parade and say, "Memento mori," remember you're only mortal. Remember you will die too. And I think this is an important message for, our fans to hear, or just anybody. I think. We take life for granted. We spend our time on things that aren't worth it, myself included. And we felt that all these songs, after we had completed the record, all these songs said, either said or dealt with these themes of life is precious, life is short. Don't take the people around you for granted. And at the end of the album, Memento Mori is a song called Arise. And the end of Arise says, "Arise and be all that you dream, all that you dream." And that last statement is really what we're trying to say through Memento Mori. Come and live inside of your purpose. Really be who you were created to be while you have the time to do it. So I don't know. That's basically Memento Mori.
Now, when this band first came together, you said you just want to do it as best as you could for as long as you could. When you guys came together, was it just kind of a vibe that you realized that you made good music together and so you went, or did you really from the beginning feel like God had a specific purpose for what you're doing now?
We weren't like, our crystal ball says we're going to make it, but I definitely felt that it was important what we're doing, and if that meant it's important we're going to play for 15 kids at this, stupid club somewhere, then, we got to go do that. Or if it's important that we sell, our first record go platinum or whatever, it's kind of, whatever doors open, we wanted to walk through them. And we just, kind of looked at it in days instead of like, our mission statement is at this point in our career, we're going to do this. And, I had no idea it was going to go this far, and I'm very thankful that it has.
And I want you to tell me about the relationship with the fans, because when people are going through rough things in their lives, as we're seeing a major recession and several other obstacles in America, it's never like the really happy pop album that's on the radio all the time that they just gravitate onto. It's usually something that's a little darker, which is what your band plays. Tell me, how have you seen that, that what you do give people hope?
I think people really want to feel connected to. They want to feel that somebody understands them, and I think the way, for whatever reason, the way Flyleaf translates to people is like, wow, that's me. That song is me. And you can really tell at the shows and the passion some people have for it. We've had tons of mostly kids come and say, I was going through a rough time, or I wanted to kill myself, or I was feeling bad about this, and your music really kind of started me thinking in a good direction, and I don't know, that's why we do it. And that's that's the coolest thing as far as reacting with the fans. But.
And finally, you're a band that's really open about your faith. You're playing in a lot of arenas where people may not even really understand what you believe. What does that sharing look like in kind of living out your mission in life?
I don't know. Again, we're not scientists. We're not like, we're going to go and infiltrate and then proselytize people or whatever. I think it's just like, God says, go do this, go play here, just be who I made you to be in this situation, and that's it. And don't pretend to be Superman or anything.
Yeah.
But
be who you are and be honest.
God's like, just point up to me. That's all you got to do.
With Flyleaf on the Merge Out Loud. Pat, it's been so awesome to have you on the show. We're going to check out one more video from Flyleaf. This is the Merge Out Loud. We're with Pat from Flyleaf. One of the really cool things about just the age we live in is, as a band, you've got so many amazing ways to connect with your fans and really to say thanks. You guys did that with a strictly viral video that's not going on TV at all. It's for Beautiful Bride.
That's correct.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, we made Beautiful Bride like the same week we made the Again video, and with a different director named Don Tyler. He's an awesome guy from Cleveland, and I don't know, we had this real kind of long, convoluted concept about, you know, this marriage, basically, what the song's about, the Bride of Christ, etc. But again, we shot green screen, and Don superimposed like a lot of ink drawings I did and a couple woodcut things into it, and at the end of it, it didn't really cohese the way we thought story-wise, which was, you know, our fault, but it looked very cool, and that's what a video's supposed to do. And it's a great song, and it was a lot of fun to make.
And you're really hands-on, like artwork is a big deal to you outside the band. And some bands just kind of show up because they have to do a video because it's what gets the music out there. This is something that you guys really love to do, right?
Well, I don't know, before when, you know, we kind of get thrust a video and like, okay, this is cool, you know, and then at the end we're like, why did we agree to that? Or I wish we would have been more proactive about this, and you know, it's always like fun to complain after the fact. So on these videos, we were like, let's attempt to get our hands dirty a little more, and you know, not that we weren't satisfied with our old ones, but well, I'm lying, but no, we did some great videos, but we just feel it's important to have more reins on the creative process. So.
And it's kind of a tedious process, right? Like you just do the same thing over and over again for about 12 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel ridiculous doing it, you know, and but it's cool. And at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I just jumped around with the guitar fake playing for 10 hours, but. I'm not working at Burger King. I don't know. It's cool. I had fun making these two videos in particular.
And now where do you go from here? The album's called Memento Mori. First album in 4 or 5 years. What has it actually been?
I think it's 4 years.
It's been 4 years. You're kind of resetting as a band. You're going out with new material finally. Tell me, what do you hope the next 6 months, next year holds?
I would hope that, you know, this album would outshine the last one, you know, just number-wise, but that's really, you know, not for me to decide. But I'll be excited if anybody hears it. You know, I'm just, at this point, I think we're just anxious to know what people think of it.
And do you guys still get like kind of geeked out, excited that, you know, people walk through the door and they're there to sing along?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's something that hadn't gotten old to me. You know, I still get a big rush. I always get nervous, you know, and I'm like, yes, people came tonight.
Pat, thanks so much for being on the show, man.
Thanks for
having
me.
This is cool. Once again, the new album from Flyleaf is called Memento Mori. My name is Tower. Thank you so much for watching the Merge Out Loud.